Today's lesson is called Good Health. It's all in the mind. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're going to continue talking about having good health and whether or not it's all in the mind. Well, actually, we're saying that it is all in the mind. There is a connection between your brain and your emotions and your vital organs. So last time, of course, we brought up the example of the brain-gut connection. If you're under a lot of stress, for example, hey, you might have some problems with your stomach.
There you go. There's the gut-brain connection and also the brain-gut connection. It goes both ways. It's bi-directional. How cool is that? So one way or another, apparently people say sometimes it's mind over matter, and that might be true. A positive attitude could lead to good health. Good health might be all in the mind. Well, not quite, but hey, what you think might affect your gut bacteria, which might positively affect your mind and lead to a virtuous cycle and not one of those vicious ones that we talked about last time. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a short break, and when we come back, we'll start reading from the second part of our article on good health. It's all in the mind.
The heart, too, is sensitive to negative mental states. Stress cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome, is a condition in which intense physical or emotional stress affects blood pressure and blood chemistry, thereby increasing the risk of a heart attack or stroke. As its common name implies, this condition can be triggered by distressing events, such as the death of a loved one.
各位好，第一部分我们看到单字 trigger， 这个字是动词，指引起或是触发。例如 The warm weather triggered new growths in the garden. 温暖的气候促使花园里出现新生机。或是 The smoke triggered the fire alarm, alerting the residents of the apartment to danger. 烟雾触发了火灾警报器，警告这栋公寓的居民有危险。另外，这个字也可以当名词，指诱因或是刺激物，像是 allergy trigger 就表示过敏源。举例来说 Pollen is one of my biggest allergy triggers, and I start sneezing when flowers bloom in my neighborhood. 花粉是我主要的过敏源之一，我家附近的花开时，我就会开始打喷嚏。
All right, so remember we're talking about different connections in the body with emotions and your physical well-being. So let's talk about the heart now. That, again, is another internal organ. It's a very important one. The heart, too, is sensitive to negative mental states. Okay, so if you're under a lot of stress, or if you're having trouble with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or with your parents or your children or whatever, hey, you might be having some stress, and that might affect the health of your heart as well.
So there you go. We were talking about the gut and the brain, and now we're bringing the heart into things as well. Get this, stress cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome, is a condition in which intense physical or emotional stress affects blood pressure and blood chemistry, thereby increasing the risk of a heart attack or stroke. Oh my goodness. By the way, this is a long sentence, and a whole lot is going on. First of all, let's talk about cardiomyopathy. That's basically disease of the heart, or a disease of the heart, usually a chronic one. Like stress can be chronic. You're under stress for a long time. It's just really bad for you. You're stressed out, under pressure. You're tense all the time, and then all of a sudden your heart gives way. You either have a heart attack or you have a stroke, both of which are bad, but they're quite similar. In both situations, if you have a stroke or you have a heart attack, something gives in your heart, okay? A piece of plaque, a piece of cholesterol in your heart, or in a vessel around your heart, I should say, gives way and either gets shot back into your heart or gets shot up into your brain. In both situations, something bad happens. If that piece of plaque gets shot back into your heart, a part of your heart might die. That's what happens during a heart attack. If it's shot into your brain, that is a stroke, an attack where a part of your brain might suffer or even die. So it's not a good thing. Broken heart syndrome.
Syndrome, that indicates something that is not normal. It's a kind of sickness. For example, we have Down syndrome, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. And there are other problems that people have, like Williams syndrome, and there are some other ones as well. But this one, I don't think this is actually a recognized disease, but we're calling this a certain kind of condition, broken heart syndrome. If you've broken up with your first boyfriend or your first girlfriend, oh, it's a terrible time. You don't know if you can go on living. Gee, I thought we had promised each other everlasting love, and now he's left me for another girl. I feel so heartbroken. So, of course, that will affect your physical health as well. And yes, indeed, I think most of us have had this experience. And indeed, we are physically affected by that as well as emotionally affected by that. So yes, indeed, that can cause some problems with your blood pressure. It can make it go high. And it can affect your blood chemistry as well. I guess the certain balance of things in your blood kind of gets screwed up, and you might get sick as a result.
So these things lead to this bad state where you might just have a heart attack or stroke, neither of which is good. Now, as its common name implies, this condition can be triggered by distressing events such as the death of a loved one. So there you go. This condition can be set off or triggered by emotional events. By the way, if something is triggered here, yes, it is set off. Very often, when you fire a gun, you pull the trigger. Okay, that's not the case here, but yes, the idea remains the same. To trigger something, okay, is to set that thing off the same way that you would fire a bullet by pulling a trigger.
Indeed, and that can start because something close to you died, like your Uncle Jim or your Aunt Penny, or maybe your dog Spot. You went out in the backyard and found Spot lying there all stiff, and of course that was an emotional event for you, and that of course can cause problems with your body. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first paragraph. Let's move on to the second paragraph now.
But the effects of emotional stress on health can be indirect as well. People who are routinely stressed or miserable often find comfort in bad habits, like smoking or overeating. And it goes without saying that these habits can have wide-ranging negative effects on a person's health beyond that of just the gut and heart.
第二部分，我们看到形容词 miserable， 指痛苦的或是难受的、悲惨的。例如 I felt miserable after my best friend moved away, but I have made plans to go visit her. 我最好的朋友搬走后，我觉得很痛苦，但我已计划去拜访她。或是 Linda had been miserable since her cat disappeared. Linda 自从她的猫不见之后，就一直很难过。另外，补充这个字的副词 miserably, M-I-S-E-R-A-B-L-Y, miserably, 指悲惨的或是痛苦的。像是 Laura was miserably sick for most of the weekend, but she's feeling better now. Laura 整个周末几乎都很悲惨的生着病，不过她现在好多了。
Okay, so before the break, we were talking about broken heart syndrome. Yes, stress is a bad thing, and if you do have a broken heart, that can be stressful, okay? You can have something called stress cardiomyopathy Because of emotional stress. When someone dies, let's say, or you break up with a loved one, oh man, it can be bad for your heart. You can get a heart attack or a stress, a direct assault on your well-being. But the effects of emotional stress on health can be indirect as well. People who are routinely stressed or miserable often find comfort in bad habits like smoking or overeating. Now, by the way, we got this word miserable to talk about. If you're miserable, you're sad. But we're talking really sad. Really unhappy, depressed. Oh my goodness, you're not happy at all. You are miserable. So, you're miserable, you don't want to do anything, you sit around and you might take comforts in things that you shouldn't do. You might smoke. Ooh, that's a nasty habit, but it makes you feel better, so you do it. You're miserable. And the same thing goes for overeating. Yeah, I'll eat 3 bags of Doritos. It's terrible for me, but it makes me feel better because I'm miserable.
I have the opposite problem. I think there was one time when I couldn't find a job and I was miserable. I was really sad. So I lost my appetite and I actually lost weight. And since I'm overweight now, sometimes I'm wondering if I should find some way to be depressed so that I can lose weight. But that's probably not a healthy way to go about weight loss. But in any case, people do find some bad habits, or they'll find comfort in those bad habits like smoking or drinking or overeating or maybe yelling loudly at other people all the time. Who knows? And it goes without saying, it's obvious that these habits can have wide-ranging negative effects on a person's health beyond that of just the gut and heart. So, yeah, if you say it goes without saying, that just means that it's very, very obvious. You don't have to say it because everybody will know this is the truth.
There you go. It's obvious that if you smoke, overeat, drink too much, that this is going to be bad for you. It's going to have negative effects, maybe wide-ranging negative effects on your health beyond just that of your gut and your heart. You're going to have liver problems and lung problems, all sorts of bad problems. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take another break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up our article. And you know what? Things are going to take a turn for the better. No more misery for us.
So what does this mean for your personal well-being? It's clear that to maintain good health, you need to do more than just eat well and exercise. You need to nurture your mental health too, perhaps by engaging in stress-relieving activities such as meditation or yoga, or venting your negative emotions in healthy ways by journaling or attending support groups. You may have heard the phrase, healthy body, healthy mind, which recognizes that physical health is essential for psychological well-being. It's high time we recognize that the reverse is true as well.
第3部分，我们看到单字 meditation。这个字是名词，指冥想或是打坐。例如 Many people use meditation as a means of reducing stress. 许多人透过冥想来减压。另外，补充这个字的动词 meditate, M-E-D-I-T-A-T-E, meditate, 指冥想或是沉思。举例来说 After work, Jenny always meditates to help herself relax. 下班后Jenny 总会冥想来帮助自己放松。接着，我们看到动词 vent， 指发泄或是宣泄负面情绪或压力，像是 Julia vented about her boss after work. Julia 下班后发泄对她老板的不满。另外，这个字也可以当名词，意思是排气口。我们可以说 Excess hot air is released through these vents. 多余的热空气是经由这些排气口排出。再来，我们看到单字 psychological， 这个字是形容词，指心理的或是心理学的。例如 The war veteran suffered from psychological damage because of what he had witnessed. 那位战争老兵因其所见而受心理创伤所苦。或是Tom has chosen to research rare psychological disorders as part of his graduate thesis. Tom 决定研究罕见的心理失调作为毕业论文主题的一部分。最后，我们看到单字 reverse， 这个字是名词，意思是相反的情况或是事物。例如 We thought Amy would attend the party, but the reverse was true. 我们以为 Amy 会参加派对，但事实相反。另外，这个字也可以当动词，指使逆转或是使倒转。举例来说，It may be difficult to reverse the impact humans have had on climate change. 要逆转人类对气候变迁造成的影响，可能很困难。又或者说 Make sure you pick the right color before you dye the cloth, for once it is dyed, it cannot be reversed. 布料染色前要确定颜色调对，因为布料一旦染了就无法改变。
Okay, let's talk about the final part of our lesson and talk about what it has to do with us as individuals. So, what does this mean for your personal well-being? What does this mean in terms of your own physical health, both mental and physical health? And it's clear that to maintain good health, you need to do more than just eat well and exercise. So, those are good things, of course. You need to have a balanced diet, you need to eat well, and also you need to get plenty of exercise, but you know, that's not enough.
You need to nurture your mental health too, perhaps by engaging in stress-relieving activities such as meditation or yoga, or venting your negative emotions in healthy ways by journaling or attending support groups. So there you go. Maybe it's not mind over matter or simply positive thinking, but you do need to nurture and take care of actively your mental health.
Indeed. So these are some suggestions here. They are stress-relieving activities like meditation. Maybe you could do some yoga or tai chi chuan or something like that. And yes, you need to vent your emotions. Maybe find somebody to talk to and get things off your chest. And don't do wild and crazy things like break all the dishes in the kitchen or something if you're mad or stressed out. I know somebody who did that once when his father was missing. He just destroyed all the dishes in the kitchen there. But in any case here, you can find other ways to vent your negative emotions, just to let them out as if it's hot air going out of a vent. You can vent those emotions in healthy ways. Like I said, talking to people, or maybe journaling. You know, write it all down in your journal. Or you can attend support groups. There are people who get together who have similar problems, and they talk about it.
Then there's meditation. You kind of sit down and deeply think about things, maybe chant, stuff like that. Yoga, that's when you do elaborate stretching and stuff like that. I believe there's some meditation involved there as well. I've heard it's worked wonders for people. Anyways, you may have heard the phrase, healthy body, healthy mind, which recognizes that physical health is essential for psychological well-being. I have heard about that, but it's high time we recognize that the reverse is true as well. This is bi-directional as well. Anyways, physical health is essential for psychological well-being, i.e., you have to have physical health and you have to have mental well-being as well. Yes, physical health means your body is healthy. Psychological well-being means that your mind is healthy as well. Psychological, of or having to do with your mental state and your mind.
Indeed, and there are lots of things that you can do. I think all of you can discuss these things amongst yourselves. Yeah, what are some activities that can help relieve stress so that you can not only have a healthy mind, but also a healthy body as well? Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。先看到课文第二部分的最后一句 这边有2个重点。第一个是 go without saying， 字面意思是不用说，也就是相当明显不言而喻的意思。我们常常会用 it goes without saying that 主词加动词来表达不用说怎么样怎么样，什么什么就是相当明显不言而喻。那么句型当中的 it 是虚主词，用来代替后面的 that 子句，也就是说这样的句型是在表达说 that 子句所描述的内容是毋庸置疑的，不需要多做说明的。例如 It goes without saying that exercising regularly is good for your body。 不用说，规律运动就是对你的身体有益，这件事情是不言而喻的，相当明显的。好，第二个补充的重点是 have an effect on 加名词，或是 have an impact on 加名词，表达说对什么什么有影响。那么 effect 或者是 impact 前面还可以搭配一些形容词，像是 negative 负面的， positive 正面的， serious 严重的， huge 巨大的等等，用一些形容词去描述说你这个影响的好坏啊，或者是程度，来表达说对什么造成了什么样的影响。举例来说 The stress of his job is having a negative impact on his health。 工作压力对他的健康造成了负面影响。好，我们接着读到课文第3部分的最后一句 It's high time we recognized that the reverse is true as well。 现在也是我们接受反之亦然的时候了。好，这边要介绍的是 It's time 怎么样怎么样的句型。 It's time 后面可以接 to 原形动词，也可以接 for 加名词，那就用来表达说现在正是什么什么时候。像我们可以说 It's time to take a break， 或是 It's time for a break， 表示说休息时间到了。那另外 It's time 后面也可以接 that 子句来表达该是什么什么的时候了。好，这个用法呢是在强调说某件事情早该做而没有做的意思，它就带有那种假设意味，所以 that 子句里面的动词是要用过去式哦。那我们在使用 It's time 加 that 子句时，这个 time 的前面你也可以加入 high 或者是 about， 就像课文它是用 It's high time 来接 that 子句，只是它省略了 that。好，例如 It's high time that Joe got a new job， 该是 Joe 去找新工作的时候了，这表示他早该去找新工作了。我们再造个例句 It's about time that Ron took responsibility for his actions。 Ron 该为自己的行为负责了，那就表示说他早该替自己的行为负责，他之前该这么做，可是都一直没有做，现在该是时候了。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Syndrome. This syndrome is most likely to affect middle-aged men. Thereby, Tim became a U.S. citizen, thereby gaining the right to vote. Stroke. Grace returned home to care for her father after his stroke. Trigger. The strike was triggered by an injury that occurred because of poor working conditions. Miserable. Suzanne has been miserable ever since she moved to New York. Nurture. You have to nurture this tree if you want it to produce fruit. Psychological. Spending time in nature can improve your psychological health. Reverse. Stan thought his girlfriend would like the gift, but the reverse was true.
Discussion starter starts now.
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, what did you find most interesting about the article? Did you learn anything new?
I was amazed to learn that gut bacteria and neurotransmitters in the brain have an effect on one another. I mean, I know that neurotransmitters are a part of us in our brains, but gut bacteria, those are foreign entities, forms of life that have made their homes in our stomachs, that somehow they have worked out a fragile peace between one another. That is just totally amazing to me.
Well, I thought the idea that there's a connection between our organs and our mental health was interesting because I always thought they were kind of separate things. Our minds and our bodies were kind of working independently, but I was amazed to discover that they actually have a very close and intimate relationship.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you guys enjoyed reading and learning along with us. I am Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.